AEW Double or Nothing is just a few days away. Now, I am recording this prior to Dynamite, so card is subject to change. But I figured we'd give a bit of a rundown of what we do know, what we expect, and give our predictions for what we expect to see this Sunday. First and foremost, so the two matches that were announced were the finals of the Owen Hart tournament. So for the men's side of the bracket, we have Will Ospreay and Hangman Page. Now look, this is going to be an absolute banger. Anyone who watches this show knows I'm a massive Ospreay fan, so maybe there's a bit of bias there, but it's going to be a fascinating one, this, because Mox has got a lot of history with Hangman Page, not so much with Ospreay. But if you take into account everything with the Mox storyline and, you know, what he sees AEW as these days, you know, Ospreay is the new blood. He's the future of the company. And so I think it's probably more a compelling story if we go down that route. So I think it's going to be a banger of a match. But for that reason, I see Will Ospreay getting the win here. Obviously, the winner goes on to face Moxley at All In. So I think, yeah, that's going to be a blockbuster main event. I don't know if we've ever seen it before. So I'm sure in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think it's going to be worthy of an All In Texas main event. So yeah, my pick for this one is going to be Will Ospreay taking the win. Moving over to the women's side of the bracket, I am so stuck on this one, on where this is going to go. We've got Mercedes Mone, we've got Jamie Hayter. Now, Mercedes was relatively undefeated until recently. Obviously, she lost the New Japan Strong title over in New Japan, and she's been on the end of a couple of maybe one or two tag team losses as well over the last couple of weeks. So her undefeated streak isn't as much of a, I don't know, guess a foregone conclusion here for this one. Now, I honestly don't know which outcome here I would prefer, because if Mercedes wins it, we're going to get, you know, the TBS champ and the AEW women's champ going head to head at All In. And I'm a big fan of title versus title. Obviously, look back to Hogan Warrior back in the day, IC champ against the world champ. I do ultimately think Mercedes might be the one to dethrone Toni Storm. I think it's kind of a toss-up between Mercedes and Megan Bayne. But that being said, there's still the Athena match that I think needs to happen. And for that reason, and you know, as I say, I'm flip-flopping on this all the time, but for that reason, I can see Jamie Hayter getting the win here. I think Athena may get involved to some degree, or there's some kind of, to use a Bret Hart colloquialism, a schmoz that takes place. And I do think that we may get Jamie Hayter winning this and going on to face Toni Storm at All In, and that would set up a TBS title match between Athena and Mercedes, and perhaps Athena is the one to dethrone Mercedes, and then she can kind of move into the main title picture. As I say, it's tough. I would be happy with either of these women coming out the victor in this one. But I guess where I'm at right now, as of this half an hour, I think I'm going to go for Jamie Hayter. As I say, this can all change depending on what happens on Dynamite. But I just think Jamie was on an absolute tear. You know, she went away. She kind of came back and hasn't really been elevated to the height she was when she went away. So for that reason, I think we're going to get back to seeing Hayter time happening here instead of Toni time. So yeah, I am going to go for Jamie Hayter winning this, but I don't know whether she's going to pick up the win at All In. I think Toni might defend. But we'll come on to some thoughts on this in a second, because another match that is taking place, Toni Storm is going to defend the women's world title against Mina Shirakawa. Now, naturally, your brain goes to, is Mariah May going to make a return then? And is that, you know, we're going to get this whole thing again? But with the stipulation of the women's Owen Hart Cup winner getting that title opportunity against Toni at All In, I don't know whether Mariah coming back, how that works here, because I'll just throw a massive, you know, wrench in the works, wouldn't it? So it's a tough one. I mean, it's not a tough one in terms of the outcome. I think Toni's absolutely winning it, but it's a tough one whether or not we get Mariah. If we do get Mariah, I don't know how that's going to go. Will she team up with Toni? Will we get Mariah and Mina kind of falling out? Obviously, two really close friends in real life. Do they just want to work together? We might go down that route, but I don't think there's any doubt that Toni's walking away champion here. It's just whether or not Mariah does return. But as I said, I think for reasons of, Mercedes and Jamie, them, the winner of that, getting the title opportunity. I just don't think it makes sense to insert Mariah right now. So, yeah, I'm going to go Toni gets the win. And then I think Jamie Hayter, Toni Storm are all in. And I think maybe Jamie doesn't even get the win then either. I do think Mercedes will be the one that ultimately will dethrone her, but maybe down the line of Full Gear. I think that's where my head's kind of at the moment with all of that. Another match we've got, and look, there's not much of a muchness here. I don't really care too much about this one, but it is what it is. We've got FTR against the team of Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness. I don't know whether there was originally going to be a plan to have Adam Copeland involved in this, and for whatever reason that just hasn't happened, so they've gone for Nigel McGuinness. But yeah, I think FTR have to win this, really. So I just don't really know where we go from that standpoint, but I think it's an interesting pair, and having Stoke teaming with, well, not teaming with, but managing FTR. So yeah, I think shenanigans probably involved, but I can see FTR walking away with the win, and hopefully we get some kind of epic tag team showdown at All In, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe Cope and Christian could reunite. Maybe Cope makes a save here, and I don't know. It all remains to be seen, but FTR, I think, are going to win this one. Another match, so obviously we had Zach Gowen returning to the ring and Ricochet getting the win over him, and obviously being the heel that he's turned into. I do like his heel work, Ricochet. Mark Briscoe comes down, makes a save after that match, and now we are getting a stretcher match here at Double or Nothing. And I just don't think Mark Briscoe is going to be the man to kind of halt Ricochet's heel run at the moment. So I don't see any other outcome than Ricochet getting the win here. But where it goes from here is going to be the interesting point, because, as I say, we're going into All In. I was kind of hoping we might get some kind of speedball and Ricochet thing going on, but that doesn't seem to be happening. We'll come on to what I think speedball is going to be up to in a second. But yeah, Ricochet needs a big opponent, I think, at All In. And right now I'm not too sure where that's coming from, but I don't think Mark Briscoe is going to be the one to kind of derail his momentum in this. So yeah, another feather in the heel cap of Ricochet to cover his big ball head. Next one to talk about, I mentioned speedball. It seems, after what happened on Dynamite this past week, that we are going to be getting Okada defending the Continental title against Speedball. That just seems to be the way that we're going here. They've just brought Speedball in. Do they want to put the title on him right away? Maybe, but I'm not sure they want to take the title off Okada either right now. So it's a tricky one. Where my head is at now on it is I don't think the time's right to take the title off Okada, and I'm not sure that Speedball's the right man to do it, but, fair play, they are giving Speedball the opportunity. I mean, this match hasn't been made, I could be totally wrong, but if they give Speedball the opportunity to get in there with the likes of Okada and mix it up, I think that sends a message of where they see Speedball and where they want him to get to, essentially. So, yeah, I do think that we are going to get this match happen, but I do think Okada will be the one that comes out retaining his title. Another match that we are going to be getting, so we've got the Hurt Syndicate against the team of Sons of Texas. Now, interesting, this one, AEW Tag Champs against Ring of Honor Tag Champs. So, as I said, I do like champion versus champion kind of matchup. The big unknown here is MJF, isn't it? It's his involvement. He's been seemingly accepted into the Hurt Syndicate, but what does that really mean? He doesn't have a match on the card as of this moment in time, so you've got to imagine he'll be involved in some way in this one. Is it a case of he proves himself in this one, or is he costly in this one? I'm not too sure where that's going to go. I don't think there's a long-term thing in MJF being part of the Hurt Syndicate, so I do see this as like a means to getting into some sort of feud. But I mean, ideally you'd go for faction wars, wouldn't you? But who the hell's going to want to team with MJF, after what a scumbag he has been to everybody? So yeah, I don't think Sons of Texas are picking up they're going to be double champs, so I do think the Hurt Syndicate's going to win. So my only thought in this one then is that MJF's going to get involved and help the Hurt Syndicate. Maybe we go down the road of they couldn't have got it done without MJF, and he ultimately tries to usurp them and take control of the stable, and and the power ultimately, because he's kind of been doing everything he can to prove himself to them, but he doesn't want to be a bit part player in someone else's stable. It's Jacob Friedman, isn't it? He wants to own everything. So I think he's ultimately going to try and cause a bit of a ruckus, perhaps, within the group, and, you know, maybe go down that angle of they couldn't have done it without him, therefore he's bigger than them, and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I think Hurt Syndicate's going to get the win, but I think there's going to be MJF involvement very much throughout this match. And lastly, we know that there's going to be Anarchy in the arena. That has now been confirmed. You know, a double or nothing staple in AEW, isn't it? Let's be honest. But they haven't confirmed who's involved in it. Now, there seems to be a belief of Willow and Marina Shafir getting involved. And I think that would be great, to be honest, because, you know, they've got just as much of a rivalry in this as the rest of the guys. So I'd love to see kind of an intergender version of Anarchy in the arena. I don't know how that impacts in terms of, will they do a bit of intergender? I'd like to hope so. I hope they don't shy away from that. But yeah, in terms of who's going to be involved, that's still going to be the question, isn't it? I think more so on the Mox side, because is it going to be Gabe Kidd? Is it going to be Claudio? Is it going to be Yuta? Like, what did they ultimately do there? But I do think it's going to be Gabe. I think it's going to be Mox, the Bucks, Gabe, and Marina on that side of the team. On the babyface side, obviously Swerve's the one who made the challenge, so he's definitely involved. We definitely had Samoa Joe was in the ring. You know, Ospreay, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Willow seem to be the lineup that we would go for here. Obviously, not too sure about Shibata and other bits and bobs like that. They could obviously add members to this, but I think the last couple have been just 4 people, and now this one's already 5. So will they go to a 6 or a 7? I'm not convinced. So for now, I'm going to guess that it's going to be 5-on-5. But, you know, Anarchy in the Arena matches are always entertaining. They are always, you know, they always have ridiculous moments, always moments that you come away with and just like, holy shit, I can't believe they just did that. So I expect this to be a very entertaining match, a very fun match. For the story of what Mox and his guys are trying to tell, I don't think it makes sense for them to lose here. I think it's almost a case of Mox against the world, and he's still going to come out on top, which is why Ospreay has to be the man that tries to get it done at All In. So for me, I can see Mox's team coming out with the win here, and it all coming down to a big standoff at All In. Can Ospreay save AEW from Moxley and those guys? So that's where I think that they're going to be headed. I do expect it to be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's all we know so far about the card. And I don't know. I don't want to say I'm not massively excited for it, but usually Double or Nothing for me is one of the standout shows. And there's only a couple here that I really can't wait to see. So we'll see how it goes. You know, AEW always delivers when it comes to a pay-per-view. So I have no doubt that the match quality will be fantastic. But yeah, just from a throughput and a storytelling standpoint, I want to, hopefully we'll get a few more tastier things coming out of this than what we've got going into it. But yeah, all in all, I see it being a really good show. Definitely match quality wise, it'll be great. But, you know, what do you guys think? What matches are you most excited to see? Let us know in the comments below. And yeah, we'll see how out of date this is by the time it goes out. I'll put it up on Wednesday. We'll have Dynamite on Wednesday night, and probably half of this will change. But based on where we are right now, that's what I'm expecting. So yeah, let us know your thoughts below. Audio listeners, do you think 5 stars? Download the episodes, and on YouTube, yeah, leave us some comments, man. Like the video, share it, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will catch you on the next one.
A to the K. A to the K.